is insane. That is insane. What's up everyone? I hope everyone's doing really well. In this video today we're going to have a look at Score Match in 2018, which is the year it was released. Now I started playing in 2020, so I really don't know what was going on, how like the arena was before, how events were before. So I had to consult with the internet and some big legends of the game to kind of try to unravel what really was going on back in the day. So we're going to start off with some screenshots, and later on you'll notice that I'm going to become very angry, and there is a reason for that, but you just have to stick around to find out. Now, most of the guys who used to play in 2018, 19, and even I think that's all 2018 and 19, because in 2020 when I first started, like, BUX were pretty hard to come by, and I'm not sure if people realize that some players actually have millions and millions of bucks, and I'm not talking like the 4 million I have. I'm talking about 100 million, 200 million and more. Like, it's just insane. And why is it insane? So let's start out with the first screenshot here. Arena 7, and you can see that you could have actually won 40,000 bucks by playing just in the Arena 7. Obviously, if you'd lose, you'd have lost the 20,000, but now you don't really lose bucks when you start an arena match. You only lose stars, and there's a very, like, obviously it's a bit of a gamble. You used to be able to lose 20, like half of the amount of bucks that you would invest in the game. But here's where things get very strange, people. In Arena 8, people used to bet, not really bet, but the prize fee was the entry fee, if we can call it that, was 50,000 bucks, and if you'd win, you'd get 100,000. Now, this isn't the craziest number yet. I'm going to show you other crazy numbers. So there is a very big change here. When you play in the Arena 8 now, I think you can win like 1,000 bucks maybe. I honestly don't think you could win more than that. And this is very strange, guys, because FTG was giving bucks like left, right and center back in the day, back before I even used to play. But the biggest of them all, guys, is this. So FTG knew that people had so much bucks that you could be able to buy, like, pay 2.5 million bucks and you'd win 5 million in return. Now, for someone who had like a 60% win rate in the old Infinity Arena, you'd have become a gazillionaire, man. You could have been golden with all this bucks, even with a 60% win rate. And mind you, back in the day there wasn't all the problems that we face now. There wasn't volleyball, at least not as much. There weren't level 11 players running around. Back then there was nothing of this. Like, it was just a much more balanced game, and I can say that with a pretty good assurance, because I've seen quite a lot of gameplay of the year 2018 and 19. So, the game, although it was difficult, because people were still trying different things out, people had their own problems with their strategies, people were kind of trying to figure themselves out and the game out, because it was still a relatively new game. In 2019 the game would have been only like 1 year old. So then you can see how people ended up with bucks like that, guys. 161 million bucks, people. Now, this, I think FTG realized that there was a problem, because you can't have players with more than 100 million bucks. And this was a screenshot I took from Sokol, as you can see his name there. And I'm not sure, I think this was in 2020, so by now he'd have God knows how much bucks. Now, the problem is that, I mean, there wasn't any problem, at least from the player side, but there was a problem from FTG's side, because if all these people had so many bucks, what was their incentive to purchase things in the game? I mean, with enough bucks, and at the time there were high rollers, so players had enough cards to upgrade their players and enough bucks to upgrade their players. So there was really just no problem whatsoever. All you had to do was, I mean, it's easier said than done, I realized that, but all you had to do was win events, win high roller leagues, and just use the gazillion bucks you have to upgrade your players. Simple. Now we have events that barely give any bucks, and they barely give any cards. Plus we don't even have the high roller leagues anymore. So now is the time that my frustration will start to rise a bit, but events. Now we're going to explore some event screenshots from, you know, ages ago, years and years ago. Let's start off with challenge events, which, I mean, weren't all that different from challenge events now, to be fair, because in my judgment and my opinions that I state here, I always try to be subjective, and in this case there wasn't that much of a difference in the old challenge events, excuse me. Now here we have the first one, 20,000 bucks, which is still 10,000 more than we get now. 640 cards, which is less, it has to be said, than the bucks we get now. And that's it. The entry fee was actually higher as well with 120 gems, so the case could be made that challenge events were less worth it back then than they are now, because now we have, although we have less bucks, we always get around 1,000 cards, and the entry fee is like 80 gems or something like that, so whatever. The next challenge event, 30,000 bucks. So that's triple what we get now in terms of bucks. Around 1,000 cards, so that's okay, and I can't find out the entry fee here because whoever was playing this event had already purchased the buy-in. Nothing really changed here in the sense that you still have a gold medal, you still have like, how many cards is that? 120, 125 cards for this guy was the gate crasher. So in general, I think you even get now, you get more than that. You get at least 200 cards for the super player, so there's that. So now, you can already see the difference in bucks, guys, and that's what I want to highlight here, although that wasn't the only thing different back in the day. So, the old cup. So this is a screenshot I took from the soccer. First off, we'll take a look at the bucks. 106 million bucks. Okay. I mean, whatever. Back in the day, people used to, obviously, the more you played, the more bucks you end up with, and so, I mean, whatever. But now let's look at the cup event. And now, right now, the cup events offer around 10 to 15,000 bucks. Here we have 110,000 bucks. The cups right now give us around 1,200 cards to 1,500, which I doubt. I think it's around 1,000-ish mark. Back then you used to get 4,000 cards. Then the rest of the price is basically the same with a kit and a gold medal. I'm actually like speechless when, you know, I've taken it for granted that, you know, recently the cup events were just, you know, although they weren't really new, they returned with the Mythic update, because it's also important to say that FTG mentioned that there were new events, and then cup events came, but cup events were already in the game, so it wasn't a new event per se, but that's a topic for another day. Can we realize, guys, that the amount of bucks that you can win was reduced by 10 times? 10 times, guys! The cards you can get now were reduced 4 times in comparison to, you know, what events we have nowadays, what cup events we have nowadays. That is insane! That is insane! Because not only do we have less bucks now, we also have a ton of less cards to upgrade our players. And what's the problem? A bigger problem than this is that now we need, for level 10 players to go up to level 11, we need 10,000 cards. Back then, people only needed 5,000 cards for players to get to level 9 to max, which was level 10 at the time. So people needed less cards, but they had way more than we have now, which is insane, which is just crazy. And I'm not finished. I am not finished. Old league events, 1, 3, 2,000 bucks, people. Now we'd be lucky to get a 15,000 bucks reward. There isn't much to say that isn't also applicable to the old cup events that I just showed you. We've lost so many bucks, guys. Like, for someone who manages, at least thankfully, to win events regularly, I've lost millions and millions of bucks through events, like compared to other people in 2018 and 19 who used to win the same events. 132,000. The cards are the same, the gold medal is the same obviously, and the reward is for the special player is roughly the same. It's a bit less at the time, to be fair. Now we have an old high roller league. So this is also a screenshot I got from D-Soccer. Now in late 2023 and very early 2024, we used to have high roller leagues, which were basically, they used to wait for high roller leagues to max their players or to help them max their players. And ever since the Mythic Arena, the Mythic update hit, we've lost high roller leagues, which is again funny because now that we need 10,000 cards to upgrade our players, we need high roller leagues more than ever before, dude. Like, it's just the way it is. But obviously FTG removed them, so there's nothing we could do. But what is the point of the screenshot? The point of the screenshot is that the last few high roller leagues that we used to have were always like 20,000 cards, which was the biggest prize ever, and few bucks as a reward. As you can see here, proportionately there was just 1,000, and there used to also be a kit as a reward. Probably Darian had this kit already, that's why it doesn't show here. As I said, the last few high roller leagues that we had before they disappeared were all required a bunch of bucks. So I'm talking like, how much was it? Like around 200,000 bucks was the entry fee per attempt for the high roller leagues that had 20,000 cards as a reward. Now, understand that recently, in the past 3 or 4 years, we've had practically no way of getting bucks. I mean, large enough number of bucks to, you know, go for high roller leagues, upgrade our players and so on. But we did have high roller leagues. So people used to, like, you can see what the problem is, guys. And it was a problem that many people had. People would spend all their bucks towards high roller leagues. They'd max their players, but they didn't have enough bucks to upgrade them. how could they have enough bucks if the Infinity Arena used to give us, now still gives us 1,800 cards, bucks, excuse me, 1,800 bucks, compared to the 400,000 that we used to need to upgrade our players from 9 to 10. Now we need 800,000 bucks, 800,000 bucks to upgrade our players from 10 to max, 10 to 11. So, what's my point, people? My point is that bucks now are so hard to come by, and it just makes me angry, because in the past people had no problem with bucks. In fact, there are still many legends of the game, like Danny Coons, who very kindly shared a screenshot of the old Infinity Arena. There is also Darian running around with 106 or whatever million bucks. There are many people like that. Many people who used to play the game at the time who are now just filthy rich and who will have no problem upgrading their players from 10 to 11, compared to people like me who started playing around the 2020-2021 mark, who have since had very little bucks to go around. And now with my 4 million bucks, in around 10 years time, when I'll be able to upgrade my players from 10 to 11, I could only upgrade 5 players and not a single one more. I'd love to know what you think, people. Obviously I'm not angry at these players who have like gazillions of bucks all around the game, but I am a bit kind of frustrated at the fact that now that we need bucks and now that we need cards more than ever, there simply isn't, there aren't any to go around. And obviously that there is a point to that. FTG is not silly, in the sense that this was all obviously a scheme for people to push their players to buy, you know, the season pass, but buy more bucks from the shop, buy gems from the shop. I mean, FTG are after obviously microtransactions, and you know, this lack of bucks and this lack of cards will, from FTG's point of view, only work well for them to make more money from these microtransactions. So there isn't any happy ending to this video. It's just a little bit of a vent, and I thank you all very much for watching. If you like this type of content, guys, let me know. Like and subscribe as always, and I'll see you later. Take care, guys.